Greetings. We are on location at an undisclosed location.
The undisclosed location will remain undisclosed until it is no longer a location, so you don't need to worry about that.
I'm Ian.
I'm Steve.
This is the Downbelow RPG Developer Cast.
Since we're on the road, we're going to keep this nice and brief, but we've still got some things that we need to talk about in the time being.
Today we'd like to talk about a different game, Pokemon Go, as it relates to our game.
Yep.
So, you've probably heard of Pokemon Go, and
if you haven't, you're not on YouTube very often, are you?
Right, but the basics are, it brings Pokemon into the real world, sort of. It brings them into your phone's camera's view of the world. And so it's one of the first massive-scale augmented reality games, and the scale of it is helped by the massive popularity that Pokemon already had. This gives us a really good jumping-off point to talk about something we talked about a little while ago, which is not actually Googly the Owlbear here. That's a separate issue entirely. But it is the way that augmented reality and virtual reality interactions work in Downbelow. That might have been something that when we talked about it a little while ago, you had not a very clear picture when you listened to us talk about it, what we were actually meant. Take a look at Pokemon Go and how, when it points the camera at things in the world, it can superimpose on those things Pokemon.
If we had a bigger budget for video editing, and more importantly, a bigger time budget, this is where we'd show you some pictures of what we're talking about. Instead, you're going to have to use your imagination or look up some of those images yourself. Perhaps Ian will link those in the description when this is posted.
That would be a very useful thing for me to do. I hope I'll remember. So, the idea is, in Downbelow, everybody has at least the technology to look around them with a handheld device and see the virtual overlays.
This is used not only for entertainment purposes, this is also used for various visual things. For instance, the way you decorate a storefront might be restricted in the real world by how much budget you have, but virtually it's only limited by your imagination and artistic skills. So it's very easy to put an alternate reality, augmented reality overlay on your storefront so people can see what it actually looks like in your dreams.
It's very easy to have advertising space which displays different things to different people's augmented reality based on their personal metadata.
And if you have the right passcodes, you can tap into various different secret networks which will let you see various, graffiti tags, warnings, and other things that the police might not necessarily see with their naked eye.
Now, that's all assuming that you're accessing this network with a device relatively similar to what we have today in smartphone technology, which is almost obsolete in the world of Downbelow. There are still handheld devices like this, but people tend to interact with them very differently. The act of raising this up to look around you to see the augmented reality shows that you are behind the technological curve in the Downbelow world.
This could be because you are simply a slow adapter, it could be because you are poor, it could be because of resource allocation. For instance, certain nations have much lower technological curves than others. Mm-hmm. But basically, like Ian said, it does mark you as a slow adapter.
Yeah, it marks you as behind the curve, whether because you want to be, because you don't want to keep up with it, or because you can't. Can't is the usual reason for the characters who are the focus of Downbelow, because you have been left behind rather than staying behind intentionally. So, there are other ways that higher tech options would interact with this virtual environment. For example, your clothes might well display your augmented reality interactions, and your everyday items, you might have a car that has the ability to display augmented reality on its surface. A lot of different items have various portions of their physical structure devoted to displaying augmented reality, digital aspects of their reality. And these aspects of reality can have importance in the Downbelow world, not just, as we mentioned, in entertainment, but it can be important to figure out, okay, this car currently has only these defined spaces where it thinks it exists, it will not drive outside of where it thinks roads exist. Its computer will tell it, you can't go there, there's not a road there, and it will refuse to go there. It will shut off or engage safety systems if you try to take it outside of its defined course.
This doesn't mean it will physically crumple up because it hasn't actually hit a wall. The reality technology divide is not that stark.
But if the car has been programmed to think that there's no road there so that it can't be taken away from its defined course, such as many public transit options, like the equivalent of taxis, are actually self-driving, either entirely or mostly, and so their computer systems will prevent them from being taken outside of their programmed route so that they can't be stolen. This means their engines, their motors, will not function outside of those courses.
Yep.
So that gives you a bit of an idea of where that technology goes in our future. And tomorrow we're going to bring in another real-world example that relates to some futuristic technology as it shows up in Downbelow. Thanks for falling through the cracks with us.